Hi, I was able to talk with a good friend of mine's boyfriend, Mario. He's from Guatemala. I asked him a lot of the questions that were mentioned in the video because I didn't want to offend him and I didn't want to affect our relationship that me and my friend have. I started off by asking him a lot of his background, and he said that he's from Guatemala and his first language is Spanish. And he told me that there's not a winter, only spring and summer in Guatemala, which was interesting. He mentioned that the spring is around 70 degrees and it rains a lot. In the summer, it can reach up to 100 and is very humid. One of the questions I asked was, what is the hardest part of being in the U.S.? And he said learning the language, adjusting to the weather and the environment, and the food. Their food is very different than what our food is. The portions are bigger and much greasier here in America. They still make the traditional meals that they used to in Guatemala. He does not like anything that comes out of a can, and he said that they don't have much for canned food or frozen food. In Guatemala, everything is handmade and always fresh. Then I asked him what stories he heard about our culture before or during his first few months here, and he said that he heard that everyone speaks English and everyone has blue eyes. And I asked, well, what was the point of that, or did they say why that they said that? And he said it was because they were American. And he found out that was not true. I asked him what stories he's heard about his culture, and he said nothing was ever talked about. He also said it made him feel like an outsider and that there was no point to talk about it. Nobody ever really asked or engaged in a conversation about his culture. And he said that's really what made him feel like there was no point to ever talk about it. Then I said, what have you held on to from your culture? He said the language of Spanish. He said it's being proper to your parents. He said that was huge. You show a lot of respect for your parents in that culture. He said we've been trying to keep our traditions such as the homemade meals, being close to their family. Family always comes first for them. He also said that Hispanics are not believers in nursing homes. They believe that they take care of their family. This turned into him telling me a story that he does have an uncle down in Guatemala who is taking care of his grandmother's house. His grandmother is now here in the U.S., and they're taking care of her up here. So they're doing a lot to make sure that their elders are very well taken care of, which is awesome because there's some families who don't associate with each other anymore. And then I asked what are some of their traditions, and he said they have a quinceañera. He didn't go into much detail about that. They do have Christmas and Thanksgiving where they make their traditional foods, which one traditional food that is very common for them is tamales. That is their main dish. In Mexico and Guatemala, they have different beliefs and cultures. I thought that was kind of interesting as they seem like they would be about the same. So being able to talk with Mario and learning a little bit more helped show the difference between the two cultures. And then I asked, what are some of the things you stay away from in America? He said that he doesn't like hearing people talk back to their parents because, as he stated, it's a huge sign of disrespect. And he does not like fast food much. He said he likes to make the more traditional meals that they had in Guatemala. And I asked him, I said, this was one of my last questions, I said, do you ever want to go back to Guatemala? And he said he doesn't really have a reason to go back, which was kind of sad as that's his country. And he said all of his family is in the U.S. He does want to go back to visit, especially in the summer, because he misses his country and his culture and traditions. And he said, and the people that I used to be around, maybe such as friends and whatnot. One last thing he did mention is trying to learn the English language. What he would do there was he would listen to music, or he would listen to the way that people would talk, and that kind of helped him understand what was being said. He did mention that he helped in the hospital to translate. He did that in high school, and now that he's older, he helps out in the courthouse to help translate, and he helps to translate at his work and other various places so that everybody stays on the same page. So by him coming over here and learning our language, he helps other people, and he said he really enjoys helping people. So I found it really neat to talk with him and get to know more about his culture and what he's been through, and just getting to know him more. So this assignment was really great for that.